so compliance refresher, the summer refresher, even though it's still spring, but it's always summer in Hawaii, how to get paid. So framing questions, I know I asked this last time for those of you that remember this, but if you can put this in the chat for the people that may not have attended, and or if you did not answer last week or 2 weeks ago, let me be accurate in my timing. So what questions do you have regarding compliance? So you may have some new batch of questions. So if you have a question specifically about compliance and or commission, if you can put that in the chat, that would be great. Part of the reason why we want to do that is just to make sure that we cover your questions. At any point in time, you can feel free to stop us and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But if you have a specific question right now, go ahead and put that in the chat. What challenges do you face when completing the compliance/commissions? So whatever challenges you have, if you could put that in the chat so we can monitor that as well, and also give you feedback. And then the final question, what do you need to make this process work for you? Especially for those people that attended part 1, what are some things that we can do? We, when I say we, Market Center, whether that's Oahu and or on Maui or Big Island, is there anything else within the process of it all? Not the doing, but the process of outlining everything. Is there something that you feel that would make it a little easier for you? So if you have any feedback, please put that in the chat because that's very valuable. Comments or questions from you, Carrie, before I go into the agenda again?
Oh, that's amazing. We want to hear from you guys, right? Whether or not you're just getting started and looking at compliance for the first time, or maybe you're a more advanced user, like, again, don't be shy. What are you struggling with specifically? And what questions or challenges do you have? And let's make sure we get that answer today.
Awesome. So just a couple of reminders and then just literally going back over what we're going to cover today. So reminder, whenever you're doing anything in Command, you always want to be in your Chrome web browser. So that is the best web browser to be in. So regardless if you are a Mac and or a PC person, please make sure that you are utilizing Chrome. The second reminder is the workflow grid, which we'll talk about shortly, in terms of the basic steps you need to do to work through compliance and also commissions within Command. So like I said, this is going to be a verbal recap, and then we will have the live hands-on demonstration. And within the hands-on/live demonstration, we encourage you to follow along. So do as you see. So that way it'll make the experience much more meaningful, and it'll actually be a true experience. So part 1 of today will be part 2 of last time, if that makes sense. Carrie's going to focus on building and moving an opportunity. And Carrie, I abbreviated some things just to kind of fit it all. He's going to talk about document categories. He's also going to talk about documents, required documents, and fully executed documents. So then we'll
transactions.
Dual transactions. Yes. Thank you. And then I'll cover the commission piece in terms of how to get paid after that. And then we'll have a Q&A specifically, but then, like I said, feel free to jump in at any point and ask us the questions that need to be asked. So we said this at the onset last time, but it bears repeating again. If you can do this, I don't see anything in the chat as of yet, but please, 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 for those of you, reiterate to us what type of user you are when it comes to Command. The reason why we want to ask you this again is because when we answer the question, we want to make sure that we answer it as detailed as possible, depending on your user category, if you will. So if you are a basic user, which should be at least everyone, hopefully you're utilizing at least 2 applets. Those applets would be contacts and opportunities. If you are an intermediate, does someone have a question? Or was that something else? If you're an intermediate user, that means you use consistently or on a regular basis or whenever you're in Command, 2 to 3 applets. That could be contacts, opportunities from Facebook, and then the advanced user. So if everyone that is on this chat can please type in basic or intermediate or advanced, just so we have a context of how to answer the questions as they come forward. So appreciate the people. Callista, thank you so much. Who needs to be notified of your escrow? Great, we're gonna get to that. Thanks, Cheryl. Yes, so just put your, great, awesome. I appreciate it. Okay. So this is the workflow grid. So again, this is the basic. Everything is green. Green is money. It also is my shirt. Green. So create a contact initially. Then you want to create an opportunity because everything begins in Command, and any CRM that you're utilizing, everything begins with a contact. So you create the contact, you create the opportunity, then from there you create the offer, and then from there you add documents to an opportunity for compliance, which Carrie's going to review for us and share a couple of other things. And then we want to submit the compliance. And then the next step will be turning it over to commissions. So that's just the basic cadence of compliance, which leads to commissions. Questions about that piece? Okay, so this is crucial. This is, hopefully you received this. This is just a recap in terms of the compliance best practices. So making sure, the first thing is to make sure that your opportunity, when you create that opportunity, when you go from contact to opportunity, you want to make sure that it is at the active stage at the very least. So as you are working through that deal, if there are any questions, your BIC has access to that. If you create the opportunity and you keep it in the early stage, appointment stage, they will not be able to see it in terms of if you reach out to them, have questions or challenges. It's just a helpful way, best practice to ensure that we are being as respectful of your time and vice versa. So how to title the opportunity in Command. So there's two ways. For the Maui Big Island peeps, it is the client name first. The reason is because the easy button way is if you are beginning with the contact card, which is the best practice to create an opportunity, it will automatically populate the client name. Then from there, you want to put the listing / buyer and then the address. That would be for the Big Island and Maui peeps. For Oahu, Kauai, street address, the name of the street address, the street name, unit number, whether it's abbreviated for buyer or seller, and then your name, the client name, and then the agent name. In terms of updating your opportunities, we encourage you, this is a best practice. We cannot tell you what to do, but we can only encourage you to do that because it creates a win-win for you, as well as makes it easier for you in terms of being able to submit your documents in a timely manner so you get paid in a timely manner. So you just want to make sure that as you can, update your opportunities. If you can do it on a weekly basis, please do so. That just makes sure that all of your documents are ready, when they are available and they're ready to be uploaded. Go ahead and take the time to do that because it only strengthens the ability for the BIC also to be able to assist you in case you have any questions. And then you also want to, as a best practice, to keep your timeline up to date as well. Here is a little difference in terms of submission, and this is specifically for compliance. Maui Big Island, we encourage you to do your submission to compliance 5 days before close. I want to be very clear about this because with the commission side, we're asking you to be in the 10 to 15 days out of close. The reason is because you're going to need that DA and those information that you'll get from the MCA regarding the commissions. So I wanted to be very clear about that. For Oahu / Kauai, which I forgot to do my / on that, you want to make sure that it's the 10 days prior to close that you're submitting all of those compliance documents. And then Carrie's going to get into the categories and the folders again at a later point. But any questions about that piece? Or Carrie, you want to jump in and anything I did not say?
No, that was great. I think, in regards to the last thing, right, our processes are the same process, just little different wrinkles, right? And so Maui, what what you guys are doing in your process is having like, hey, this is like a point of no return 5 days prior to close. You should be looking to submit it for a review. Oahu, we're submitting our DAs. And so like Latasha said, on Maui, you're submitting your DAs 10 to 14 days prior to closing or submitting your commission. You generate a DA. At that point on Oahu, we're saying, why not just submit it? So at 10 days prior to close, we're trying to get, because then you're busy. So if we're shooting for 10 days, realistically, we're submitting it at 5. So we're just kind of built in a cushion, which is why our process says 10. But basically, we're all submitting it at the same time. Best practice, again, is to catch the early bus. As soon as you have it, you can get it in.
Thanks, Carrie. Next slide, and then we're going to go into hands-on. So this is compliance best practice continued. So this is the email that you would want to send. It is universal email. You want to make sure, meaning that Oahu, regardless of whatever island, it's the one email. So then within the email subject line, you would have the property address. You would have the email body, which would be the opportunity ID, which will show you where that is for those of you that need that, the agent name and email, BIC name and email, escrow officer, name, company, and email. Couple of specifics that we kind of already mentioned a little bit, but if you are waiting on escrow to submit closing documents, please keep in mind that 5 days prior to close, you can submit the first 2 folders. So if you're waiting on something from the escrow company, but you have those first 2 folders that Carrie's going to revisit later today, on the listing side, it would be listing and under contract specifically. If you have those 2 folders completed and all of your requirement docs are uploaded and good to go, you can go ahead and submit each of those folders and submit that to compliance. The caveat is, if you do that, you just want to make sure that within 5 days of that closing date, you submit the necessary documents for that last folder and send that to compliance. Otherwise, we will have to forfeit your opportunity to do that again. Meaning this, we want to help you get paid. And if you're waiting on something from escrow and that's holding it up, but it's not necessarily needed to you getting paid, then we want to help you. So let us help you. Make sure that if you are in that situation, that you just make sure that you upload the rest of that folder with the appropriate documents in time within 5 days after that close date, just to make sure that we're not, reaching out back to you, because as Carrie mentioned last week, once the deal is done, the other agent on the other side of the deal, they're moved on to the next thing, and you have moved on, but unfortunately you haven't, because you still need to wrap up a few things with this. So just making sure that you do that in a timely manner, because it's a win-win for everyone. Day of closing, specifically, some of the items that you may not have in terms of not holding up your check would be submitting the final day of closing documents, such as the FRIFTA, HARFTA, those types of things. So that's specifically what we're talking about. And then after close, you just want to make sure from a record keeping standpoint that you move that opportunity to the closed status. Do not archive. Archive is kind of like, we had a conversation about this last time, and I want to make sure that I am saying this correctly. So archive means that it's still there, but you're not physically seeing it on a regular basis. It's not in your current timeline of things, but it's still there in an archived hidden view. So we just want to make sure that you are not archiving it. The reason is that, again, if it's archived, meaning hidden, your BIC cannot see it, or anyone else, in case there is an issue later on. So it's kind of like, hidden out of sight, they can't see it. So we just want to make sure that anything related to that deal is in the closed status only and not archived. So questions or comments about that? Carrie, we're good?
Great.
Awesome. So commission side, and then we're going to wrap up this and do the hands-on. Commission side, which we've mentioned before, but just to reiterate, 2 weeks prior to close, 10 to 14 days, you want to submit that submission tab, and that will generate the process and or launch the process for receiving your DA or distribution authorization. and you can submit that. It goes directly to the MCA. For Maui, Big Island, it goes to Shelby. For Kauai, Oahu, it goes to Christy. What to include in there on the note side, on the right-hand side, which we'll get into a little bit, you want to include how and who is paying GET, include the escrow officer name and email. You want to add the referral information if that applies, include coaching fee if it applies, and or payment to lead program, whether that's Zillow or whatever it is, and then include anything else that would affect your commission payment. So anything that's coming out of your commission payment, you also want to make sure it's documented in the notes. It's just a good fail-safe proof way to make sure that everything lines up correctly. And then you want to email that for Maui, Big Island, to this email for Shelby. And then Oahu, Kauai, that is the email for Christy that you want to email once you accomplished everything, i.e. once you have done all of those things, hit the submit button. And then just like you keep compliance officer in the loop, you want to email them to give them a heads up. Within that body, you just say commission request submitted for whatever the property address is. If you want bonus points, you can put the opportunity ID in there as well, but that's just bonus points. You can, in the body though, you want to make sure the opportunity ID is in there, the agent name, you, broker name, escrow officer name, company, and email, and the escrow number. Any comments or questions about that piece? All good so far? Can I get a thumbs up, reactions, just to make sure you're still with me? Okay, I see Carrie.
Lots of nodding
Okay.
and lots of thumbs up.
Gotcha, okay. So need help. How the commissions tab works, that will be myself and or Carrie. You can email us. Specific questions about information regarding the commissions tab, you want to reach out to your broker. Compliance questions, I keep forgetting to do this, Carrie, you need to remind me. For compliance, I know that we have our MDR, but you need to provide me information for you guys, because this is the second time I've done this. So please don't let me make a mistake 3 times in a row.
Oh, so, compliance questions for us, technically, kind of what you had in up front. If it's a question on your purchase contract or anything in regards to the contract, it's going to be reaching out to your BIC. And then how that works with the actual process, you guys can, on Oahu and Kauai, can email me.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so then I'll do that. So I'm just like, I keep forgetting to add that. So thank you. And then getting paid questions, that will go to Michelle. She must be talking about me. MCA, Shelby, and Christy. So that's needing help. And now we're going to get into it. So I am going to stop share. And Carrie's excited because
I'm excited. I'm a visual person, so I love matching what we're talking about in the theory and your questions to how does that actually apply inside of.
No, you just want me to be quiet. That's what that is.
Oh, and plus I'm all sugared up. I had soda, so I'm ready to go. Okay.
Good to go.
So as promised, right, we're carrying over from what we did last week. So we talked about basics, like Latasha gave us best practices. And so again, what that looks like. And we're adding a couple of things that we didn't talk about last week, okay? So we have our opportunity, we have our pipeline. So like Latasha said, your sales pipeline, best practice for you as a business owner is to, hey, where are my people, where are my deals on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever that looks like. And those of you out there that are just purely using this to get paid in compliance, that's fine too, right? But the opportunity to click and drag your opportunities around from beginning of cultivate into the appointment stage. And then you can see, like Latasha says, teal is your friend. So anytime you see it teal, so like if we wanted to put back that opportunity card for Captain America, I'm helping him sell his vacant lot. I move it from appointment into active. Now we're talking about compliance. Make sure your opportunities are when your admin, your TC, yourself, you're building it for compliance. It needs to be in this under contract section. Otherwise, the compliance officer can't find it. He can't see it, right? His key is in that under contract section. So make sure the opportunity is in the right place. Okay. So we are going to go into the documents, and what we did last week, a continuation, is we've learned about our checklist, and each category on the list side is listed under contract and closed. And so for compliance purposes, right, just these first two categories, and inside is your list of what's required. So we've got approval, we got resubmitted on these sections, and really what you're looking for, I'm going to manually add these documents, and I've clicked and dragged my required documents into the opportunity, right? Best practice and worth discussing and bringing it up again is that each transaction is unique. The number one thing that slows down compliance is technically it's the agent, right? What do I need? You need anything that's in regards to what does the PC say? So if you're not sure what you need, ask yourself and look back to your purchase contract. What addenda is in section D? And so agents will submit their thing for compliance review, missing their lead-based paint, missing their termite report, and it takes 24 to 48 hours to get a review back. You're waiting 2 days for a notification on a missing document that you had in hand, right? So again, when it comes to compliance, ask yourself, what is the PC say? What is my ERS say, my exclusive right to sell say? And make sure that fully executed document is put into your opportunity. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself, okay? So based upon the PC, we are going to say, what's a common thing? The documents itself tells a story, right? So if you put all your fully executed documents in there, you've got a great story. Now, should there be something out of the ordinary, or should there be a gap that you kind of feel like you need to explain something? Right here is add a comment, right? So in this case, we're selling a vacant lot. What's marked on the PC that's probably not going to be necessary in this transaction? Anybody? Unmute yourself, throw it out there, right in the chat. Part of the purchase contract that is not going to be required because it's a vacant lot.
I see some superstars. I was going to say that JV is a superstar. I don't know why we're not hearing from her.
When it comes to Jeannie, yes. When it comes to compliance, hey, just comply and do what it says. Absolutely. That was fun. Something that's marked on the PC, or actually is unmarked on the PC, J1. You're not going to have a J1 home inspection on a vacant lot. Maybe you could walk the lot, right? But then, so anything like that, that is just needs a little bit more storytelling. This is all compliance. Compliance is in case you get called to court. You want to make sure you're telling a full story. You would say vacant lot, no J1, no TIR. Now, if you marked L2 on your purchase contract, leaving a little note that says no TR, that's not going to be suffice. You're going to write an amendment to remove it from the contract, right? So you really got to know your purchase contract. Make sure you're in the right place, but then no J1 on a vacant lot. So as the compliance officer, or heaven forbid, the court judge looks at the thing, they can say, oh, great. This agent told me exactly what's going on, right? So the documents itself tell a story. If you need to add any more context, you add a comment. A lot of agents, when we say leave a note in the system, they'll click on this note right up here, right? Offers and commissions and notes. The compliance officer can't see that. So you've got to add a comment in the system, okay? So 2-star tips: comply to your purchase contract, add a comment to fill in the gaps. The other thing is, we're only asking what's necessary. So I think we might have talked about this last week. You'll notice that there's no, on Oahu, there's no conditional loan approval needed or anything like that. There's no addenda, because a lot of times, right, there's nothing. It's super clean. if you need to add an item that's not there, you're going to click on these little meatballs here and say add a document. And here you can say what it is, amendment number 1, select amendment, and then enter the file that you need. And I'm just going to pull something from my computer really quickly. And then once the doc syncs, you hit save. And you can see that you'll have additional documentation, right? So if you're not seeing anything on the list, don't panic. The list doesn't need to be changed too much either. There were literally, I think when we looked at it, Latasha, like a year ago, there were 300 different items in this list. And it was hard to find out where you got to stick it. Like we tried to make it simple for you all. So it's really pared down to like almost not even more than 100. So you may not find the item you need, and that's okay, right? Add an item using the little meatball menu. Cool.
Carol had a great question. Carrie, did you see that in the chat?
If you submit it to the MCA and you notified compliance and have a change, no. That's a great question. Does the MCA or compliance officer need to be notified of each update? Not necessarily. So if you've had maybe another extension, you would add another extension. Though let's say you have uploaded a document that was previously approved and you need to update it or change it, right? Make a correction. You are going to click on the meatball menu for the item itself. And you can see it. If prior to submitting it, it'll say remove, and you can quickly make the change prior to sending it for review. You're going to, if you've already submitted it for review and maybe you're correcting it, it's going to say update. And so that way the system has a record of the original doc, but it also shows your correction, and it'll replace the old doc with the newer one. And I think that answers your question, Cheryl. So you don't need to notify anybody to change. Compliance officer will say, hey, this needs to be changed. If you also see something that like extensions kind of sneak up, hey, just add it. When you resubmit it, resubmit for review, it's good to leave a note, or that's where you can add a comment. Hey, added.
Okay. So I am going to, you are going to hit the resubmit button to resubmit it, and then that will notify them of the new.
Right. So you can see here it is under contract in this one, because I added a new doc, now it says changed. Right. And then so at that point, you're going to have to resubmit. And you're also going to make sure, are there any other categories that you made changes? You got to resubmit each one separately. That's a great.
Gotcha. And I like how knowing that Teal is my friend, since it highlighted the submit button again and said resubmit. So
yeah. Yes. Great. Yeah, if you know where to look, it's half the battle, right? Know where to look and know your PC. What Cheryl also had a question in the chat about notifying. Who do you notify of the new escrow? And basically, when you open escrow, you're going to make sure to take care of your escrow instructions. A copy of that, of course, it goes to escrow, but you should also send a copy of that to your MCA, right? So, and that's all the notification you need to open. Then when it comes to you're wrapping up and landing the plane, that's when your review, when you're ready for review, that trigger email goes to the comp officer 946.
Okay, so I wouldn't notify the comp officer, the BIC, then everybody for a new escrow.
Not for you might want to keep the BIC. You might want to keep the BIC involved in that, but the compliance really only comes out on the bottom portion, which is why the earlier you submit it, because you have all the documents in hand, give them a chance to look at it while you're listed and your under contract sections full. Right, the DA and your estimated settlement at that point, probably 10 days prior to close, get it to the comp officer. TCs out there, good to know that should you get a return, you're going to get Rob's email that says, hey, missing see notes in command, your agent actually gets a system generated email. Rob doesn't send it. The system recognizes there's something marked returned or missing, and your agent is going to get an email saying, hey, there's a missing lead-based paint.
I thought it was just a personal love letter. I'm so disappointed.
Jeannie.
Just more communication.
Don't
It is a
only
love
come to me,
letter.
Jeannie. I get those love letters.
It is a love letter. And so I think a good grasp, right? Early bus, know the PC, what's supposed to be there. Have it, your triggering email to Rob is because emails are all noise, right? There's so many emails going back and forth for you as the agent. It's saying, I've reviewed my checklist. I have everything that I need for the PC in place, and that's why I'm letting you know. Right? It's kind of giving yourself that mental note, like, I'm ready for this. Right? Give yourself a last minute review. Okay, so in this case, we are looking at 1347 Complianc, Steve Rogers cell. When we're in a dual transaction, are there a separate set of docs for the seller or the buyer, or there's just one set of docs? It's not a trick question, just one, right? Right? We don't want you to work with the documents twice. Although going to my sales pipeline, that's the seller. I'm going to create an opportunity because this is a dual. This is on the buy side. Tony Stark is buying Steve. It should be the other way around, but Steve Rogers is selling 1347 Complianc. I'm going to skip all of that, but he's going to be bought by Tony Stark. I'm a super huge geek. I totally am. I own it. It's okay. Okay, so this is on the buy side transaction. Your buyers need to be credited with they bought something from you, right? So you do need a sell and a buy side that's separate, okay? But it's going to be on the same property. So we entered in a buyer opportunity for that same property. I'm going to back out to my sales pipeline. You'll see that now I have another active buyer, that's Tony Stark for 1347 Complianc. I move my buyer opportunity under contract. Again, it's the same property, it's the same paperwork, but on the buyer side perspective, what you're going to do, and the only thing you're going to do on the buy side, is you're going to put that property address in here, 47 Complianc Boulevard. I'm going to click back in. I think I said unit 300. Right? And it pre-fills. So you get your property box that syncs the property and MLS information to the client. You're going to do your commission, which Latasha is going to show us how to do, because you want to generate a buy-side commission for yourself, right? Not just a sell, production numbers, right? That's it. Okay? Don't work with the documents twice. Don't work with the buyer side list, because we already have a list. And that's on the sell side. So we go back.
Could I stop just to make sure that everyone understands that? Is everyone good with the dual side, dual representation in terms of what side documents are on, and then making sure that you both have the buyer and the opportunity under the listing and buyer? Is everyone in agreement? Any questions about that? Because that's one thing that we see often that trips up a lot of agents. So I just want to take the time just to pause, say la, and think about that.
And it's okay. It's okay if you work them separately. Like, you're not going to break anything, right? But
Cheryl, you had, oh, sorry.
No.
Cheryl, HP.
Yeah, thank you. So just to make sure I'm clear, you're creating two separate opportunities because you have two opportunities. One as the seller and listing agent.
Correct.
Then I have a buyer in my database, and I'm putting them together. So I'm creating a second opportunity under the buyer, but I'm going to use the opportunity number under the listing side only, and all my docs go under the listing side.
Correct, and it will. That's exactly right, and it will show you why. Is because when you go under this listing side opportunity, we've tried to make sure you don't have to work and do the upload twice, right? So when you go on your document list on the list side, under contract, we're going to scroll down. This is the PC, but then you start getting down towards the bottom and you're going to say seller estimated because this is a listing transaction, but there's also a little item that says buyer side estimate if representing both sides.
Okay.
Because your purchase contract, your addenda, your timeline, it's all kind of the same thing.
And the DA that's created will be from this side, the list side, but
Yes.
you'll note both commissions.
You were doing great. Yeah, keep going. So you're going to commission, the commission on this side is only the sell side. So the only thing you're going to do on the buy side is use the buy side commission to generate a buyer side DA. And what we should do, and we'll take a look at that. You see the estimateds are separate if you're doing both. There's no item for the buyer side DA. So what do?
Refer to it.
We go up to the top and we go add document from the meatball menu, right? Buy side DA. That could be authorization, distribution authorization. And then we're doing that from my computer. And then you put your buyer side DA here. So then that way, the selling side transaction, you have both all of your documents and your buy side DA, buy side estimated, right? So when you submit compliance for your dual, all you're doing is submitting one triggering email, in which case you can tell Rob as well, hey, submitting for review dual transaction. And he's going to know, and he's going to see all the extra buy side in here anyway, but over communicate. But does that make sense about how the sale can take all of your documents and you just submit one time?
Yeah, that's terrific.
That's worth the price of emission just for coming.
Yes, yeah, cuts your work in half.
Yeah.
Besides.
Awesome. Any questions in regards to, and so, we added a comment, we added items, we took a look at the dual. So when it closes, last thing, you're going to take the sell side and you're going to move it to close. It's going to say, when did you close, right? You can confirm that date, change the date. You go back to the buy side. We want to make sure that you close that and you just drag this to close as well, right? It's already been reviewed on the sell side.
Thanks, Carrie, for entertaining me. I didn't want to break your rhythm, but I really felt like I needed to hit pause. You know what I mean? Pause a minute and just make sure everyone understood that. So thank you for indulging me.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah, thank you for pausing me. So the good thing is, like, this video will be on YouTube, and as it comes up, of course, if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, refer to the video. And then if it's during the day, you can call Latasha.
The other way around.
I might answer for you, HP. I might. So I'm going to, Carrie, can you give me hosting rights back?
Yes, really? Sure, I will, absolutely.
I guess I could just reclaim it. There you go. All right, so what we're going to do now is talk about commission and then any Q&A, and then we'll wrap this up. Thanks for your patience, everyone, for staying.
Yeah, and thanks for the great questions, guys. Really good.
So I've got a lot of things open. Let's see. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Gotcha.
Okay, just want to make sure. So now I'm going to go to opportunities. And my internet, I guess it didn't have its coffee this morning, so it's being a little slow. But that's okay.
I had enough caffeine for everybody in the room, I think.
So I'm going to go here. So we talked about, did you call out where to find the opportunity ID just to make sure for our basic users? Did you do that?
That's a good look right here.
Yeah, so just want to make sure that's where you find or locate your opportunity ID for those of you. This is a bonus tip, has nothing to do with the presentation, but on the listing side only, there's a whole marketing piece. So I'm going to drop that right there, but those are some great recommendations for marketing pieces, collateral. So that's huge. Maybe we can circle back later. But now we're going to go into offers and commissions. So following the roadmap that Carrie laid for you, once you get to this point, you are in the offer and commission side. You have either, at this point in time, you are working at getting ready to that 10 to 14 days period. You have your offers. You take the time to select this teal button where it says add offer. I'm just going to select this so you can see. You put in your offer information. You go through that template, and then you will get this information. The one thing that I do want to call out, and yes, I did go to Disney recently, both Carrie and I did separately, just to be very clear about that. So let's say you have multiple offers. I do want to call this out really quickly, is that let's say you get multiple offers, and instead of manually doing this process in terms of submitting or sending comparisons, you can simply select all if you want all of them, or select the ones that you want. And then you hit, Carrie calls them meatballs, ellipses, whatever you want to call them. And then you select those 3 dots. And then you can either add an additional analysis, you can send an offer, all through a click of a button. So I just want to make sure that that's called out, especially for the basic users, just in case you don't know that that's available to us. So let's say, for example, we are going to select the offer, accept the offer for Mickey Mouse. I've already done it because it says, well, it will say manage commissions. So I've already selected that one. So keep in mind this, there's one thing that I want to say before I get into the details. A lot of times, if you see red error messages, that means that something is missing. So for here, the general information, you clearly see the contract date is not there. So we want to go in and select edit. And then you just simply go down to the contract date. You can either manually enter it, or the easy button is to select the calendar and then go from there. And there we go. So I'm just going to throw out the 25th, and then I'm just going to hit save changes. So then now we go down to payment. There's a couple of things that I do want to call out, but I'm checking the chat just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh.
There's a coffee discussion.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So then the payment information. There's a couple of things that I want to call out specifically. This is all related to what's being taken out of your commission in terms of if you are sharing this in terms of a referral fee. You can either add another agent here, but I'm going to show you another way to do it as well. And or if it's a separate broker payment that is coming out of your check. That's what I want to be very clear about, because a lot of agents were getting tripped up with this. This is specifically allocating any funds that need to be applied to someone else that are coming out of your commission. So what we want to do is we want to hit select the edit page payment information. For example, if you are sharing this, you are partnering with another agent. And let's say your partnership is that they're getting 0.5 of the unit, you're getting 0.5, or whatever that allocation is in terms of whatever you've agreed to. You just want to make sure that it's adjusted on the unit side and or on the commission side. Because if you adjust the units, it'll allocate or do the commissions, and you just want to make sure that if it doesn't, then you just want to submit, calculate, or hit select calculate commission, and that will change. So again, this is about what you guys agree to. If there is no agreement and you're solo, then you don't have to worry about that. It's always going to be in a measurement of 1, but that's only if you have special circumstances. So E&O, if that applies, Bold Scholarship, if you want to apply that, again, we're talking about everything that's being taken out of your check. So then any nonprofit deductions, KW Cares, and then it'll give you the bottom here where it tells you the dollar amount. So in terms of adding additional information, the best practice in terms of referrals, bonus deductions, concessions, and TC or TM, transaction manager, whatever you refer to your loving partners. You want to add an item. You want to select this drop-down option. So then you have your bonus, you have your commission, you have your deduction, you have your inside referral or outside referral. Typically for the TC part or TM, depending on whatever acronym you use, the best practice is to enter it as a deduction. Then you would enter whatever the amount is, if it's a flat fee or whatever it is. You want to make sure that you also have whatever tax ID. For the TCs, it's easy because they'll be able to put this information easy breezy. But if you're doing it yourself for whatever reason, you just want to make sure you put that in there. Typically, the best practice is to use their N number and not their social, but that's totally however you run your business. And then your tax ID, the description. Keep in mind, HP Cheryl is my guinea pig a lot of times. So I just put in there how you would abbreviate that. So in terms of the description, you would put, whoever your TC's name is or TM or whatever you're calling them. So making sure that for the description, that you have the name of the person and then their title at the very least. That's the best practice. And then pay to, again, would be their name and then their address in terms of where the check is going to be sent to. Their phone number. Keep in mind, everything that's in a red asterisk, you need to put in there. I know some agents were trying to bypass some of these things, but you may get away with it initially, but it's going to come back to you because what's going to happen is if you don't put the correct information in there, it's going to delay the process. So that means the MCA is going to be reaching out to you saying so-and-so and so is missing, or this is missing, that's missing, and you're just delaying the process. So just make sure on the front end, you're loading all the accurate information. And then you would select add. If it was an inside referral, outside referral, you put that in there. Yes, Cheryl.
Thanks. I have a question going back to if you're splitting the commission. So let's say I'm 50-50 with somebody. The units, I don't understand how you're looking at the unit. Is your commission one unit or am I receiving one unit?
Great question. So typically the best way to explain this, and Carrie can jump in if I don't say this correctly, but I want to be very.
Did she freeze or is it just me?
She froze.
She was going to deliver the bomb right there. And
Once again.
we'll talk about
she was having internet problems.
We'll wait for her. Yeah, we'll wait for Latasha to unfreeze. That's a great question. And usually in regards of reference to like a team setting. Yeah, Cheryl, if I'm not mistaken. So what you would do, one, it says units on the left side, but really you're going to use that as like tenths or halvesies and whatnot. So whatever the team split is, you're going to do it on that end. Now, if it's production units, and let's say the team leader takes the whole unit of production, you're going to make sure to use that in the notes. And so as Latasha was talking about the notes section, we would do escrow instructions, escrow officer contact information, GET or no GET. And then at the end, you can tag on whatever special instruction. In that case, units, all production to unit, or, one production unit to be all under the team leader.
Okay, so you could use that to identify your commission split with somebody else, as well as who's getting credit for the unit.
Right. Then so you got two things, and I'm going to go ahead, and looks like we lost Latasha until she jumps back in. Let me go ahead and share my commission screen there. How was that? We got it? Okay. So so you would get, and the agent, and so of course this is under me. And so whatever that team split look like, you can add, and it pulls automatically from whoever's in the market center, right? So like for me, Chris Lowe, and we're going halvesies. And so again, it seems weird, and you hit edit commission. It seems weird because it's like the production number, but it's kind of a separate issue. So we're going to do halvesies. And again, like Latasha said about the red, it's not going to let you do something that you can't do. I'm going to try and
So-
submit. I'm going to
But
try.
it's one agent unit, right? One agent unit.
Well, and this is
And
actually,
well-
so the payment, that's a great clarity, Jeannie. So the payment, the agent units in regards to the commission on this end is in regards to like the splits, percentage of payout to whomever it may be, right? And then when it comes to production units and number, what we're gonna do here, right? We would say escrow, I'm not just gonna shorthand it, right? Escrow number, escrow officer, name and company, and then escrow contact info, right? If something, who do we need to contact if we need to? You're gonna say either no, GET, or yes, GET. And in this case, any special instructions. And so in this case, if it was like a team, you would say all production to be under team leader, whatever their name is. And so then when the MCA gets your commission request, they can, one, get the split breakdown, and two, recognize that, hey, all the production units should be under this one person. Yeah,
Thanks, Carrie. Sorry, my internet went out on me.
no problem, no problem. And so we're just showing the special instructions, getting the difference between the breakdown. I think right what you were going to say some good stuff and then you froze, but the difference between the units here for the splits versus the production unit, you can always get clarity to them, say in the notes. And I showed them that, hey, even if I go halvesies with Chris and try to submit it, again, it's not going to let you do anything that's out of balance. So yeah, I have to go in and go, oh, shucks, that's right. I went halvesies. So I got to recalculate, redo my split, recalculate, and save those changes to make sure the thing is balanced. Do you want me to go back and give you hosting rights so you can share your screen, Latasha?
I'm good. Go ahead. Just I'm on my phone now, just or doing my Wi-Fi on my phone just to make sure it's a little more stable. So yay for Verizon. It's come to my rescue. So did you go, it sounds like you went over the notes and everything. You answered HP's question about the unit allocation and how to do that.
The unit, you had shown the deduction of the TC, whether or not maybe that's a productivity coach as well.
Yes.
I think the other thing would be that
and then any Zillow too, that would be another deduction, like or PC coaching program, i.e. Nicole, or if you're on the Big Island, it would be Rochelle. So that would be the only thing, and that would be technically under the deduction as well for those programs.
and then where Latasha was showing under deduction for coaching and TM, it kind of had it where you can put in the EIN information, but it wasn't required. You'll notice on an outside referral, it is required, right? And so again, with your referral form, as much as we can track it in Command, you still need a hard copy of the referral form fully executed and their W-9s that way. And this is where it comes into play. So you can fill it out right in here.
And then the other best practice, speaking of the referrals, is that you also want to make sure that on your referral applet that you're also keeping notes on that side. So just in case the agent is depending on if your agent is utilizing the referral applets, which is a separate thing, you just want to make sure that you or your TC or whatever you've contracted him or her to do, that they're also keeping track from a management's perspective, that referral communication cadence as well.
Yeah. So as you flow down the payments, other wrinkles, right? I mean, so we see 0.5 and 0.5. We can go as many team members as was your showing agent that you utilize within your brokerage. You're going to add them at 0.1, 0.05, whatever it is that you agreed upon to make sure that they get paid out. And it's all paid out in the splits. And when then you would make sure to clarify production on the right. You can see the breakdown here. As you use this feature more, you should see your company dollar and royalty sync with what's actually due. The more that you use it, And at the same time, if it's not syncing for you or the split doesn't come out to be right, hey, I'm at this agreement and this agreement, don't panic, but just email your MCA because there might be a a standard at the market center level, and you might be on a different split or a team split, which it's not captured through command. So market center is tracking it for you. So if these circles don't add up to where you are right now, don't worry, but email your MCA if you wanted to find out.
Could I also add one thing is just, and I know a lot of you know that, but more so some of the newer agents, just to really be, keep track of where you are with your split. So, make it a best practice, like at the very beginning of the year, know your numbers, know where you are. So if you want to, at the beginning of the year, reach out to the MCA and just to reiterate, where am I at with my cap, just to make sure that you know your numbers and kind of what you're working towards. So then that way you could use that as a benchmark. So, for the newer agents, I would encourage you at the beginning of the year to do that so you can keep track of where you are as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, another best practice where that really comes into play and the rubber hits the road, right? TCs know it probably is your reset date, your agent's reset date, right? So if your transaction is supposed to close this week on the 20th, but it extends into May because something happens, your reset date is May 1st, you're going to have to then resubmit the DA or the commission, or let your MCA know, like, hey, this is extending and we need to redo the DA because I'm resetting, right? How can I get this done prior to my reset date and I'm capped? it happens,
Ouch.
just, yeah, but just communicate, they'll redo the DA. That being said, you can see where everything we did on the left side comes out and is a summary, right? There may be other fees, risk management fees or whatnot. Like if you miss it in here, the market center, the MCA will make sure to input it into the DA for you.
Cheryl, you have a question?
Yeah. So if we're paying a referral fee and it's not to an agent, so let's say it's a Boomtown or a Zillow or whatever, so that would have to go in the notes. Am I right? We couldn't segment that out because it's not to an agent or a broker or someone within our market center, right? It's not.
So you could do a deduction because you don't necessarily have to have that information in there. So I would say best practice would be to do both, but at the very least, you would want to put it on the note side. So definitely, if you don't do anything else, put it on the note side. But I would say best practice, just to keep things neat and tidy, I would say use the deduction format and then also add it to the notes. And I see Carrie nodding. So we're like two peas in a pod. So
that makes sense to me because right now I'm only using the notes, and I think this would be great.
Yeah, it's cleaner and it's stronger because in that way it's just a cleaner look. And then from a reporting standpoint, when you go back, it's just easy to see that itemized list on the left-hand side that you see, and you can still add the notes. But if it were me, I would recommend you do that. But again, I'm just suggesting it as a best practice.
And honestly, Zillow is a licensed agent. So really and truly, they're just an outside referral.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the third-party aggregators and whatnot, they'll give you you probably have like a contract for so many years, and they'll resend it to you every so often. It includes a W-9, right? And so, yeah, you just treat it like an outside referral. Clarity on that, somebody like HomeLight, or find out if those aggregators prefer a wire, right? How do they expect to get paid or want to get paid, and then apply it to the DA or your note section accordingly. Outside of that, we got the breakdown here. You can always double check if it's right. You would hit it right now. It says open, right? We're going to hit submit, and I'm going to run to Chrissy's office and say, don't make this. I think she knows who Captain America is. It's going to ask you one more time. Hey, do you want to donate to, I'm just going to, for right now, I'm going to hit skip. No judgment. It's okay. And you'll see it say submitted, right? And then you're going to see it get submitted. In this case, Chrissy gets a system notification. And Shelby, they get a system notification. They're going to get it out to you as soon as possible. But then again, 10 to 14 days prior to close, you're going to see this. They're going to email you. Basically, it's going to say DA number 11011. Here's your address. Please review. And then when you go back into command, you'll see this either say imported or approved in the green. Green means you're good.
And
Best
money.
practice for-
Money.
Yes. Best practice for TCs and agents always is the MCA is going to get it to you. Look it over. Right? Is there GET or no GET? Hey, TCs, did you remember to put your fee in there? It happens, right? As a TC, it seems like it's the agents say, hey, you review it and go help them out, right? Give them other eye. Oh, I missed the GET. Hey, can we redo that? Right? As an agent, is the splits right? GET, is everything cool? Okay, great. And once you have that approved from the agent, then we can kind of then cycle back around to compliance, right? Hey, escrow, here's a DA. Pop the DA in compliance and then submit it when you get the estimated. Gee, you got a question?
Sorry.
No, I think you just answered. It's okay. Thank you.
The only other thing, unless Carrie has something else, just making sure that once you hit that submit button, that you also follow up with that email too. Just making sure that you do that separate email, just like you did for compliance, that you want to send that email with all of that information. So for Maui and Big Island, that best practice guide that we showed in terms of, the step-by-step instructions with what to do in the email, that's already in the intranet. So just go to the intranet, the documents. I will also do a recap video or email and put the recording of this. And then I'll also attach that document in there. So everyone will see that as well. And it'll be a PDF document that you can hang on to. So you can, for those of you that need that reminders for the TCs as well, you'll have that.
Communication is perfect, especially because not everything always goes as planned, right? 10 to 14 days gives everybody plenty of time. Though if you find yourself like coming up to that 5th day, I didn't submit my DA. Like that's an email. Shelby, I just submitted my thing. And, but again, it's if you can catch that on the 5th day versus like the day before closing, that's ideal for everybody. The process works when you work it. Like help TCs, help your agents communicate, hey, I need this, and we're working towards getting this on time. Do we have it following the timeline? Get it in, hit your bottom of your list with your commission and your DA. Escrow, I need that estimated. I'm not looking for final loan numbers, right? And submit it off to compliance 5 days prior to close. You have time to get it corrected should you be missing anything. And help your agents be professionals, right? Getting better and better every day, right? Every day.
Carrie, can I add one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
For those advanced users, I would consider making, when we had classes before about the opportunities and the opportunity checklist within Command, I would add those dates, the 10 to 14 days in terms of when to submit the DA, when to submit your compliance. I would add that to your checklist. So then that way you're consistently doing the same thing. That cadence is already in there embedded for you. So I, think about integrating that piece of it. So then that way it's a truly set and forget it. You don't have to have the oh me or oh my moments. It's already ingrained into your checklist in terms of how you track that transaction. So just as a added bonus best practice recommendation.
Any other questions, or maybe like, holy
Sherry,
shit, that was cool.
Carrie,
Like,
isn't there someone in your office over there that has a spreadsheet that has all of those calendar dates and everything else already in that as a tool they use for reminders on everything throughout the entire process? Was in a training with somebody and I thought
Sounds
there
like a
was somebody-
timeline.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a
we
timeline
have.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, so the timeline, I don't know for Carrie, but I know for Maui, we have that in the intranet. And then we also have the opportunities on both on the listing side and the buyer side. We have samples as well. So Carrie can speak to the Wahoo side.
Yeah, we same thing. Intranet, the lists are available, and I want to say new agents that we have onboarding. We're actually like we have a VA go in and input that base checklist. But then for like what Cheryl said and Latasha said, Bill, I think you might have that base checklist, but you're looking for you can add an item to cover those dates and set your due date. Scott Leroy Marketing, just a quick shout out, right? It's on our Market Center training calendar, and I think it's on Maui as well. They do great walkthroughs Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Daylight savings time really did a number on my brain. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. And
try starting your day at 5 o'clock in the morning because of that.
I try. That's when my alarm goes off, and then I hit snooze too many times. Thank you, guys. But well, you know what? What is maybe something that you guys pulled out of today that maybe you didn't know before, or what something that you look to maybe help your agent or help you as an agent do a little bit better with compliance? We can make sure to point it out on the when we repeat the class.
I liked Latasha's addition of adding to the checklist, you know, the reminders of when to send that. So yeah, well, and I customize that a little bit. Help.
And then when you don't have those gotcha moments.
Yeah.
Tech wise, they when they talked about the checklist, they talked about it one day. Should you like have an extension, it'll push the rest of the day along. Right, that wish list and coming, but you've right, all that they want to do and how they want to make life easier for us. It's there, and it's just the building blocks. We just gotta, how does it work right now, and how I can make my life better.
Could I ask one question? Oh, go ahead, Jeannie. Then I want to ask the people that are here, I want to ask them one follow-up question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the clarification regarding a dual. And that, and understanding now how the system works, that I'll put it in sellers and then just add a note, right? A note on the other side. Yeah. I like that. Thank you.
Harder, not harder.
Because I probably would have.
I hope you need it, Jeannie.
Me too. I'm ready. It's been about a year and a half.
So for those people that are still in the call, is there anything in terms of a training class around compliance or around commissions that you feel is needed? Anything that you would like to see that we haven't necessarily presented? Is there some sort of class that you think would be beneficial to not only you, but to other agents before we wrap up and close? Out of curiosity.
I think these walkthroughs are really good. And I need it, like, when you don't do it, you're not working on a deal continuously, one every few months, you know, then these things kind of go out of your head because you got a million other things. And so then it's like, oh, I hit the submit button, but I've also got to follow up with an email. I totally forgot that on my last deal. I know I did. And so I kind of need that in front of me. So I think having the checklist and the outline on the internet will be super helpful. You can refer to that and look and just follow, make sure I've done that.
Okay.
But the walkthroughs and continually kind of jumping in on these to walk through it again it would be good.
Okay.
That's why I'm here. I'm not doing enough business to stay on top of it because we haven't been doing this that long. So I feel like, you know, a year and a half ago, I knew more than I know now.
Mhm.
But actually the system's better now than it was a year and a half ago. So
So
I
much better,
agree. It's
Jeannie.
just fundamentals over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
Totally
unfortunately,
agree.
we'll have to teach this again.
No, we will. So the plan is,
On the
that
replay
we
button.
will, we're going to consistently do this every quarter. So then we'll just have like a part 1 and a part 2, and then you can jump in at any point in time. It'll always be recorded, but that's the focus moving forward. It's just once a quarter, we want to do another touch base, and, you know, there might be some more nuances, but to your point, Jeannie, the system has so much improved. So, you know, even from
That's
last
exciting.
year. Yeah. It's good for you guys. It's great for you guys because there's more stability. There's more things that you can do. And, you know, you can parse out what works for you and what doesn't, but there's so much more that's at your fingertips that actually is working and functional, which is a game changer.
It's not always easy to change your systems, but the more I adopt to Command, the whole system, the more I realize that it really takes care of the little nuances that are left out. And the bottom line is it's about efficiency. We only have so much time in a day. We want to do things right. short amount of time as possible.
Right. Bill, you had your hand up?
Yeah, that's actually a great tie-in that Jeannie just mentioned as far as efficiency goes to the question I want to ask is, do you think it might be more efficient to do this as a single 2-hour session instead of 2 1-hour sessions with the 2 weeks in between? I personally, my personal opinion is I would have rather have done this all at once instead of coming back 2 weeks later, but that just may be me.
It's kind of a catch-22 because we also have to look at the agent's availability and the fact that, especially in the virtual world that we're still not going to ever get rid of, we also have to be mindful of attention span. So I think that's part of the reason why we broke it up. For me, I'm just going to speak for myself and Carrie can jump in. Just with my limited schedule, it's easier for me to block out an hour and then do another follow-up. Because 2 hours is a lot for me to be taken away since I only work 4 hours a day. So it's a great point. And Carrie and I can definitely think about it and figure out if we want to do a hybrid or offer it. It's just the challenge would be, do agents have that 2-hour time to commit? And, how are we going to manage breaks and stuff? So it's a great valid point. I don't know if Carrie wants to add anything.
The only thing I would add is I heard my voice is too soothing. So at like an hour and 20 minutes, so like everybody would be. So, that would be my only concern with the 2-hour class. But no, that's a great feedback because if you get it all at once because everybody's busy. And maybe we can offer, like Latasha was saying, like a hybrid or offer both, and you might have a different audience for each opportunity.
Then I do want to say this for those of you that are still on the call is we do offer now every first, second, and third Wednesdays. We are doing in-house from 11 to noon. And it's a situation to where we will be live in the offices and there will also be a virtual component. So if you have questions throughout in between those trainings, you can feel free to jump in on that session, 11 to noon. It's open. You can either
Which
drop
day?
in the first, second, and third Wednesdays of the month. So for me, for Maui, I start out with being in the Kahului office on the first Wednesday. The second Wednesday is Kihei, and then the third is Lahaina. So then that way we're doing in-person office hours. And so it'll be advertised. This week I'll be in the Kihei office. And then Carrie, where will you be this Wednesday?
This Wednesday, I'll be out in Kapolei. Molly just dropped off. I was going, Molly, I'm coming for you.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll be out in Kapolei. It's a little, I think a little different and kind of a little awkward to get started. We started it last week. It's kind of like, think of a big study hall. Right, it's not going to be a teaching like this, but just people that are plugging in and in person, it'll be easier to kind of just go, hey, I'm working on this. How can I get some help here? And you don't have to get direct help from us, but it's a time block of I'm going to work on something in regards to command at the office, and I can have somebody help me. And at the same time, if you don't want to, maybe with the office thing, you can have that Zoom component, and Latasha and I will be working around the room and also checking in on the Zoom. Hey, who needs help with something?
And so, I say that just to say, if that's the time where you're working a deal and you've got some, questions, that's a great way to jump in and, get whatever questions you have addressed.
What time on
I
Wednesday?
used to be
11 to noon. It's
11?
always 11 to noon.
I used to be inside sales. I tell the agents all the time, I would love to be just around when you guys are calling, because calling leads to tagging, leads to neighborhood nurtures, leads to notes, leads to follow-up calls and smart plans. Sometimes it's just doing that in person or having that time block to just, right? Exciting.
Thank you for today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It
guys
only
are a
works
great
when
team.
you guys join. So thank
I
you.
miss
so
you,
much.
Latasha.
I miss you too, Jeannie. We got to go to lunch.
Let's make it a threesome.
I'm all
Maybe.
for it. I'm all for it.
Love you guys.
I love it because we're
Bye.
just like this on the
I
screen.
know.
Yeah.
Hi.